Andy, did you get my signature page? I emailed that to you, right?
For
farm lease.
Yep.
farm. Oh, yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
If
Thank
you
you.
wanna send me once they sign it,
Okay, I haven't heard back from him yet.
so that I have it for mine.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock, so we'll get started. I'll call the Whitley County Redevelopment Commission regular meeting, November the 12th, 2024, to order. This time I'll take roll call. Theresa Baysinger,
Present.
Frank Kessler,
Present?
John Myers,
Present.
Mike Schrader,
Present.
Jill Western,
Here.
and I'm here. Rogers Market Update.
Dale will cover that when he's here. He's apparently running late.
He's out of town.
He's out of
Yeah,
town.
he's out of town.
He's running really late today. It was my understanding that John Rogers was supposed to be here, that's why it's on the agenda. So if that's not the case, then apparently we can skip that one.
Okay. How about the 2025 spending plan?
So this is, you should have gotten a draft version of that, of the spending plan in your email, Wednesday, I don't know, last week. So if you recall, the spending plan is now required by the state to be filed with the fiscal body, the executive, and with the LGF by December 1st. In my opinion, Andy, maybe you have another opinion, but basically spending plan is another word for budget, but because you call it a spending plan, it doesn't follow the same approval processes as budget, but it's essentially a budget, which redevelopment commissions haven't had to do before. We've done it just for the sake of having some guidance, but as for a spending plan, what I did was I took our budget that we had and just applied the numbers as best as I could to the spending plan. This template is a mix of what Andy had given me as well as I think Baker Tilly. Or Andy, did you send me one?
Whatever I got, I took from Baker Tilly, so
Okay.
either way, yeah.
You got me that one,
Yeah.
and Greg Hockemeyer got me another one anyway. I put them together into this format. So just to run through these numbers real quick for you. Payments on outstanding bonds, etc. We've got still the Series A and B bonds, which are actually still being paid, well, obviously still being paid back. Iotron/Sotera, that is a designated taxpayer, so we have to show that as spending on here, basically in case we have to, in case we have to pay it, they pay it. Anyway, you get the point. So it has to be shown here. Payments to eligible entities for education and training programs, explicitly for school corporations or similar educational institutions. We had talked about the Eagle Tech Academy expansion and underwriting that. I have that listed as a line item, but I didn't have any amount attached to that. Didn't know whether the commission wants to put in some theoretical amount to that, or whether we just leave it at zero, but know that that was something that had been discussed.
And so everybody knows, nobody's really sure, and Nathan has in here kind of this boilerplate that I've seen other ones about changing this in the future.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks you can change it, but this is the first time anybody's ever had to do this. So I'm sure the State Board of Accounts isn't thinking that nobody's going to have something change midway through the year. You're not going to know. You probably just have to file an amended plan.
Yeah. And when I reread the letter of the code, it says you can spend money on what's described. So it's probably better to put in more items that you might be spending on and basically overestimate the costs so you don't have to come in and make amendments. So that's one reason that I put this line item in, because it describes this potential project even though we don't have an amount.
So Jill, has the school board even, or the school at all, even put together any estimates or budget estimates for this?
No, I think right now we're waiting on, some reports on a certain building that we're
Okay.
interested in. We'd like to purchase it pending the reports coming back that it's
Mhm.
acceptable. They have they're so excited. They have so many ideas to expand our program because we're turning students away. And that's a good problem to have, but, so many businesses are begging for, our kids because, there's a new program that students can, graduate with a working CDL, which is priceless.
Mhm.
So we really wanna move forward with that. So hopefully, this body can help us once we determine, but we're hopeful in
Yeah,
the
but-
near
but
future.
no numbers even
No.
if we wanted to plug something in?
No, and we still have some leftover, a little leftover money from building the high school because I don't know how this works, but when you finance a large project, you can get the interest from the money.
Mhm.
So even though the bulk of the money's been spent on building the high school, there was interest earned, that's still available for us for a project. So, I think we do have some seed funds for it, but the amounts I couldn't say.
So, yeah, so we couldn't.
But we're
come up
definitely
with a number
moving,
even
we're
if we
definitely
wanted
moving
to.
forward.
Mhm.
Let's see, and that is specific to school corporations. I think the other two corporations, and Troy, we've already, met all of our payments to them, Smith Green and Whitco. Let's see, capital expenditures, this is just, general capital projects that are called out by our economic development plan. So, again, based upon what we had in the budget, approximately $4.5 million on that. That would cover our infrastructure projects and whatever else that we'd have. Grants and contributions, several different types called out here. The first being contributions to the Lido and similar organization. So right now we're paying, I believe, $10,000 per quarter to the EDC. So I just bumped that up to 50,000 for the year rather than 40, just to, again, cover us in case there's some other payment that might need to come up, paying them for postage or something like that. I don't know. That's a lot of postage, but again, idea is better to overestimate than under here. The other thing under grants and contributions would be our training grants, because those training grants aren't to an educational institution, and they don't explicitly meet the requirements of the state statute farther down. I put it in under the grants and contributions line item, and that's approximately $450,000 between what we have currently still outstanding. I think we have one or two still outstanding, and then more that we might approve. Professional expenses, you can see there all the different ones, grand total of $1.227 million between all of those, contracted services and engineering being the largest ones for projects. Operating expenses, capital and operating expenses for fire services, $100,000, which I will also mention, I've tried to get in touch with Brandon to get invoices for this year, and he has not yet responded with any sort of request for payments.
Don't give him any more money. You'll get a receipt.
Well,
I
mean, your policy is that you need to have receipts to pay from, so, or at least a request. So.
Is that contract with them, Andy, is that is that every year or?
It is, but it's non-binding. It's just an MOU.
Okay.
So we're not bound to do it. It's just an intent.
Okay.
Payment of operating expenses, including employee expenses. Historically, that has been zero. However, Tiffany and I might start to work with the county council. There are some operating expenses that we have that might be better paid out of directly out of the county general. So your member stipends, for one, that's kind of a gray area. For example, some of Andy's expenses may be more general operating expenses rather than project-based. So we're trying to make things a little bit more consistent with what's called for, I guess. I don't know. So it'll take some time. We don't have any military bases, so that's not applicable. Any eligible efficiency programs, what that is related to making housing more energy efficient, I believe, is the main project, which we don't deal with. So if you're more of an urban redevelopment commission, that one would apply. As I mentioned, reimbursements for employee training expenses of industrial facilities pursuant to IC 36-7-14-39B4K. Our training grants that we provide don't meet that specifically, as best as I could figure out, so that was why this one was 0. We might, at some point in the future, modify what we do to do that, but right now we don't meet that requirement. Possible reimbursements of the county, being the unit, just put in employee services and infrastructure. These would be things that, say, the highway department, county engineer, and so on would be doing on behalf of the redevelopment commission. So approximately 150 in there. I believe in our budget we had put that just in the contracted services line item. Expenditures from bond proceeds, we've already expended down Series B. We still have Series A left, even after paying for the sewer extension. Just under 400,000 is what's left, so I just rounded that up to 400,000. And this is also why our budget and this spending plan are off by 400,000, because this 400,000 was already included in, say, contracted services and so on under our budget. But because it calls it out separately here, it's kind of double accounting. So it's totaled twice. Expenditures from property tax levy, we don't meet the requirements of that, so that's not applicable. Expenditures from state or federal grants or loans, we don't have any currently. However, that may come up. If that were to come up, say a broadband grant or something, I don't know, we would have to make an amendment. I don't think there's any accounting for that at this point. And then other anticipated expenditures, it's a catch-all, so I don't have anything in there right now.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
The Rogers lease payments, where do they fit into this?
Probably contracted services.
Okay.
Professional expenses, it's probably not the most appropriate. What would you?
No, I think it'd be in capital projects there's not
Okay.
a separate line item for, there's the bond lease financing, but that's not what we're doing. So, as long as they're contemplated, I don't know that it matters. I just wanted to make sure that, I'm not sure when that expires, to be honest, off the top of my head. It's probably not too far out.
Yeah, how long was that? Was that a year lease?
That's what I remember.
Yeah, so that should be coming up here in the next 3 months or so, I
I was
think.
gonna say, I think in March.
Okay.
Okay.
And my other question was, we have done in the past the training expenses for industrial facilities.
Okay, so that's why I put it under grants and contributions.
Okay.
What's listed in IC 36-7-14-39B4K, I might be able to rattle that off without having to read it eventually. That is explicit to, you can use only the increment generated by that facility to underwrite their training grant, which we don't ever want to limit ourselves to. So let's say, I don't know, some business requests a $50,000 training grant, but their increment is only $30,000. We would be limited under the statute to $30,000. by just saying it's a general grant from the overall TIF revenues, we could do that full 50.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't list it under that, but you're right. The other components of that requirement, we do meet. It's just the limitation on increment, we don't. Or we don't want to limit ourselves to anyway. Anything else? Okay, cool. I'll readjust the capital expenditures section and call out lease payments as a separate line item and apply, how much is our lease payment?
What's that?
How much is the Rogers Market lease payment?
$12,636 a month.
So take 200,000 out of that 4.5 million and apply it towards lease payments. Sound good?
Sorry, I know you sent this to me last week and I said this is fine, but I just thought about the Rogers lease payments.
Nope, that's why we went through it. Any other questions, thoughts?
I have none on that.
Well, if you don't mind with the change, can we get an approval so we can get this to the places it needs to go then?
I move that we approve it as presented.
Okay,
Correction.
Second.
got a first and second. Any further discussion on this?
So are you saying that it can be amended as needed, do you think? Say our project did get off the ground, even though there's zero in, for schools,
Yes.
that could
Right.
be,
Mhm.
I just don't think it would make sense otherwise that you couldn't change this. How would that make any practical sense?
Yeah. And it's described here because it's a line item, it just doesn't have a value.
And if we specifically say that it could be changed in the bottom of the plan.
Any further discussion?
Nathan, it says South Whitley Redevelopment Commission on the bottom, just, we probably should change that too.
Yeah, probably. Thank you for catching that.
Any other discussion? There being none, all them in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same. That show it passed.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Broadband update, that deal,
That is John.
John?
Well, yeah, and I didn't know, so Gail sent me a letter that he got from Lakeland, that it was to the commissioners, so I can talk about it, or you can, whatever, okay. So the Lakeland, which is the Sweetwater folks, and I can pass this around.
And I've got it up on the screen as
Oh, it's
well
up,
here.
Okay. So what they have, you know, kind of sized everything up. If you go to the, third page, yeah, there's a list of the various towers and where they're located and how they would intend to using those towers to get connection to the entire county. So it'd be a combination of using fiber that's already in place for the REMC and then also broadcasting off of towers that are in place to get coverage. So what they're asking the county for is an appropriation not exceeding $55,000 to take all of this information and build it out into a plan to use. And what they would do is, if they decide then to go forward with the project, they'll refund the $55,000 outlay that the county made. And so this was specifically a request made to the commissioners So I think Dale's thinking was perhaps to use some of the seeded, I think they call it onsite, offsite, onsite money that the commissioners have available for economic development projects, but also asking Andy, number one, if the RDC could contribute toward that amount. And just have everybody, maybe I'd have Abby make copies of the letter and let you take them with you, but just for you to consider whether you'd consider doing this, whether it's if you say, well, ideally it's like, think about it, but if everybody here says it's a hard no, then, then he knows not to come back here, but I guess the question is first for Andy, whether we can contribute, and if Andy says that we can contribute, then whether the commission would be interested in helping to pay for it. Again, I know I've talked to Joe about this in the past, and I know this is a big issue for the schools as well, so it would be not only the unserved internet areas in Columbia City, but also the Whitco and Churubusco communities as well. So, so that's all Dale told me. So, again, maybe before we take off, maybe Abby could make copies for everybody to take with them, and then we can talk about it at the next meeting in more detail.
Yeah, I think
Sounds good.
the couple things, I've never worked on this, but I represent Lakeland Internet. So I'll probably get a conflict waiver from them and you, if that's okay. I feel comfortable that I can help the Redevelopment Commission with this because they haven't asked me to help in this project, but I do other things for Lakeland Internet. So that first. Second, I think this is, we've talked about this, and I think that, and I've talked to bond counsel about this before, that this is a utility.
Mm-hmm.
In today's day and age. This is a little unique, I think, because it's not wired, right? And you can spend TIF money on things, you can reimburse the county for things that are in or connected to the TIF district. What's connected mean? Over the air. The towers go into the TIF and provide, that's an argument that certainly it's connected to the TIF district. And if you wanted to be a little bit more conservative, I think you could say in or serving, and just like we have with the school, people having, work remotely and things like that, it's going to serve the TIF. So if you wanted to play a little bit more conservative, you could probably just contract a portion of this directly with Lakeland to pay for a contract that is serving the TIF district. But I think there's a way to get there.
Okay.
So is that what we'd need to do, is get our own contract with them, or have them?
Are any of these towers in the TIF district?
So Hyler Road would be close to Larwill might be close to Larwill. Collins is just south of Collins, so that's outside the TIF district. Tri-Lakes would be Tri-Lakes. South Whitley, I was just going to look up, and 14 and 9 is south of that intersection. So
They wouldn't be an R-TIF, though. I know Larwell's R-TIF, but
yeah,
it
Hyler
wouldn't
Road.
be the TIF with money.
Yeah, we've most likely Hyler Road definitely would be, or at least would be serving, if not literally in the TIF.
Mm-hmm.
And Larwill would be probably close enough to Larwill to consider it too.
Mm-hmm.
So 3, and depending on their coverage area, maybe I might give them Collins as well, and potentially South Whitley.
Yeah, I would say that it'd be helpful to know which of these towers, whether they're in the TIF or not, are actually, and this is the right way to say this, I don't know, like beaming service into the TIF. Because if they're projecting, if that's a tower that the TIF district would look to get internet service, I think that it's pretty obvious that's serving or even connected to the TIF. So maybe that we could figure that out.
Yeah, the South Whitley one is the one on 14, just east of South Whitley, that I don't know how they could cram more antennas onto that one. Looks more like a column than a tower now.
But do you think if we gave the TIF both Rail Connect and 30 a map, that Lakeland could tell us which towers are serving that area?
Should be. They should have coverage maps.
Yeah, I think that would be a good start. And if, you know, half the tower, there's 7, so it can't be half, but if half the towers are serving that area, I think we could easily pay for half of this because it's serving the TIF.
Yeah.
John, did you say that they were thinking about using Costco line for doing this out in our area?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. I mean, they're talking about northeastern REMC.
Oh, not Costco.
But it would, yeah, certainly the two Larwill towers, maybe 3, you said Hyler is out that way?
Yeah, Hyler is on the south side of the main TIF. It's
Yeah.
just south of the railroad track,
Okay.
so it definitely covers a portion of it.
There's a tower on 5 out by me.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be good to know that at least one of those Larwill towers is gonna give you the coverage, or that Detroit area, the coverage that they need. But I suppose we could look at the latitude and longitude locations and,
And if they need another one, I know where they could get another one.
okay.
Because Jill and I's gotta have internet for, you expect us to operate, right, Jill?
Well, I just invested in Starlink, so I had given up hope on anything coming very soon, so.
So I went through my emails and I don't think I received that, this letter, so maybe it went to Dale and he wanted to go through you. But we did discuss this, and 55 is a really high number. I don't think that's how much it costs Allen County. So I can't imagine ours would cost that much. At least I wouldn't think it would. But yeah, if I could get a copy of this.
Did we do it right?
Yeah, that would be great. I'll talk to the other 2 commissioners, because I know, we had discussed on-site, off-site.
Can you run the
Does
commission,
everyone-
some, I'd like to have one.
Okay.
So the 2 Larwill towers, Larwill North is on the bend of State Route 5, the jog, so it's pretty far north. Larwill proper is the tower that's immediately west of Larwill, just before the jog south on State Route 5. The intersection between Old Trail and 5. That tower that's right there. So that one definitely covers Larwill in the TIF district.
The one north is not in the TIF.
The one north might cover it, but it's pretty far north. It would more likely cover Etna Troy pretty well, as well as into Kosciuszko County.
Anything else on that?
Is everybody okay with the conflict I disclosed?
I think you need to get a conflict.
Yeah, I will. I was gonna ask you
So
to
it's above board, we don't have to
Vote on
deal
Kim
with
to
that.
sign a
Yeah.
conflict waiver
Yeah.
if you were okay
I
with
think
that.
so.
You need a motion for that?
If you don't mind.
I'll make a motion,
We're gonna leave you hanging in
I just can't help.
granting Attorney Bosberger a waiver for his conflict of interest, with Lakeland Internet.
Okay.
Second.
We got first and second. Any further discussion on that?
Subject to Kim's approval. When he gets the letter.
Yep.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All them opposed, the same. That show that it passed.
I'll give Dale to get with Lakeland on coverage maps for you guys to help show what the impacts are.
Surf would be totally out of it then?
They're doing some of their own projects. They did ask for a contribution for the Indiana Connectivity Program. However, what they were asking for versus the number of people served, if you look at both, they're a wonderful company, but this is just more inclusive of the entire county and comes at a much lower cost as well.
Do you look for the other internet company to come to the redevelopment commission at some point to get some help?
I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, they can come, but they just want too much for the amount of people served. It just doesn't make sense for us to give them, I feel like, any amount of money versus, I mean, it's just not the same. I mean, we can get so much more for each dollar versus what we can get with Surf. I mean, maybe if they came in and wanted a nominal something for a grant, I mean, that might be smart if they're gonna get quite a few people served. However, just looking at the different options, I think Lakeland's the best fit for the county.
Well, and maybe with SURF, what the county considers is maybe doing a tax abatement for the equipment and other stuff that they're gonna put in.
Yeah.
Because there's a special statute that covers, basically utilities, internet, installations, and put money in their pocket that way as opposed to, writing the check.
Yeah, and I would be completely in favor of that. I mean, they have a good service, they have good infrastructure. It just doesn't make sense to give them a ton of money when we can use the same amount or a lower amount and get almost the entire county served. So, but yeah, I mean, an abatement I think would be more than appropriate for them bringing in a service that the county needs. It would make sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, well, if nothing else, we'll move on then. Transfer or resolution?
That's all you, Treasurer.
So we had some expenditures that we paid out of the general fund of $4,500. However, there are no funds in there. So we had talked at one point that it was okay to move from like the 4502, which is union, into 4,500 to cover expenses. So we had board members and bonds. So there's a total of $4,350 that was paid out for board members, and then $500 that was paid out for bonds. So just as a kind of an approval for me, I'm asking that we have you guys sign off, kind of like council does for transfers, so I can make those transfers. And
This
that
is
was
from
how-
Union to Rail Connect?
Well, it would be to our 4,500, which is like the general, where we don't have any funds, which is where they were spent from.
As I mentioned, operating expenses, so the member stipends have been kind of a gray area, as well as the member bonds. And so it made sense to try and pay them from the 4,500, which is just the redevelopment commission generally, not one of the increment
Oh, I didn't know we had a general fund, to be honest.
We didn't until this
Okay.
year.
Okay.
Again, kind of step by step, trying to get a little bit more proper with
You know
it.
I like where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But right now,
Yeah.
because it didn't wind up getting appropriated by county council, which is okay, that's what this transfer does, is it transfers funds from where we have money, which is in the TIF district, to just the general operating expenses.
We can do that, I mean, use TIF receipts for.
The statute says you cannot use TIF money on administrative funds. Does not define what administrative funds are. We've always taken, and I said I liked where he's going, because he knows
Right.
I've been talking about this for years, is that, in legal fees, whatever, is we've kind of said, well, these are in furtherance of economic development projects.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the position we've been taking, but I think what Nathan's trying to do is get it maybe a little bit.
Clean it up.
Clean it up, yeah.
Okay.
I think bonds may be explicitly stated that they can be paid from the TIF, but again, just want to keep member stuff together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Commission, what would you like to do on this transfer resolution?
I would move that we pass or adopt the transfer resolution as presented.
Second.
Okay, first and second, any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, the same. We'll move on then to projects updates. Project Freedom, Niedermeyer property. Sir?
You want me to discuss this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Friday, we met with, Mr. Randy Miles, who is from the Barn Foundation. Came up, had a meeting, went through the buildings. A couple of them he had pretty much nothing to say about, which is kind of what we anticipated. The barn, the bank barn itself, he said was in excellent condition. He said, I believe it was the top 10% of barns that he's seen as far as quality and condition. He said it was in really excellent condition. They put the steel siding on it over the wood. There was still the old wood shaker roof that they metaled over. Foundation was in really good condition. There was one corner he had an issue with, but nonetheless, his standpoint is for restoration, basically saving the barn. So he couldn't really give us a dollar value of what it was worth. However, he's supposed to be getting me a list of contractors, other groups that they've worked with that may be able to give us an idea of what actual dollar value is. He had spoken of a couple other alternatives that may be possible of moving it to another location, whether it be through Historical Society, the 4-H he had mentioned, also other counties that are wanting barns on their 4-H grounds or whatever. He said there were a couple counties that were looking for barns, and this would be a good one that was in good condition to possibly do that. So there's some possibilities out there. He was gonna send also another county. He didn't say what county it was, did he?
No, I don't remember. Do you?
That could be
Mike?
possibly interested in the barn itself to relocate to their county. So there's some possibilities there of doing something other than throwing it in a dumpster or digging a hole or that kind of thing. So as I get that information back from him and do a little more research on my own, I'll get back with you on some of those options.
It would probably be the cheapest to the commission to find someone to donate it to, because you're not paying to remove it and you're not paying to put it out for bid for someone to buy it. So if you can find someone just to transfer it to you as a donation, that's probably going to be the least amount of cash out of pocket for us.
Yeah, I assume they'd pay to come get it and take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you donate it, yeah, that would be my assumption.
Well, then, I could kind of gather from him that to get somebody to pay it for it, probably slim.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could donate it and they would probably come and tear it down, or it'd be up to them to hire somebody to come and tear it down. And he had a couple, like Brent said, there is a couple 4-H places that are looking for barns. And then we thought about ours, but I don't know, they're kind of landlocked down there to put a barn someplace. I can't see it.
I
But
don't know if they've
I
got
can't think of
the
anywhere.
money either to
Yeah.
do a project
So
like
it-
that, too.
I don't see where the redevelopment's gonna get any kind of money out of it. Then he kinda talked about, well, maybe leaving it there and have some kind of a, I don't know, a barn that you can walk through and look at, but you got it right in the middle of the industrial park.
Yeah.
So,
Well, as long as it's a nonprofit or another governmental entity, you can give it away.
Could you put server racks in it?
so, he was interested. I mean, it's kinda neat.
He had a lot of neat things to say. He had a lot to say. But it was a good visit. So I think we've got possibilities of more than paying somebody to tear it down. We just need to narrow down which one's gonna be the best for us.
And we still don't know anything about the inside yet, as far as the stuff inside the house.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
no.
The rezoning component, the plan commission will be hearing the rezoning to IPM on the 20th, so a week from tomorrow. If we could get somebody there to represent the commission, that would be great. Any volunteers?
When is it?
7 p.m.
What date?
the 20th. Brent and I will be there, but because we represent the planning commission too, we've gotta,
I'll be there.
okay.
Do you want a conflict waiver letter while we're here?
I don't think I need to have
Oh, okay.
one, but
I also have something to discuss about the maintenance, the yard maintenance out there. I've gotten one quote from that. But I also had an offer, if you guys would be open to it, of being able to use my brother-in-law's mower and me go over and mow it. That would be entertain that. I would be willing to do that if you guys wanted to. If that's something that is possible to be done,
And just do it during your normal workday.
we'd just do it on a weekend and you guys would just say, oh, hey, somebody mowed that property. I don't know if that's something that's legally able to do, of me just to offer to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not a member of the redevelopment commission, you're,
Okay,
nobody's an employee and you can't volunteer work hours essentially.
he said not work hours.
yeah.
That's what I mean. You can't volunteer your, what's essentially, well, that's not his job description now, so, I don't know.
He's just doing a donation to the county.
Yeah, but labor law gets kind of funky when you do donate work.
Who's the quote from?
Can't say.
I'm confused by this situation.
I think if you were, I'm just thinking like from a liability standpoint, if you were to get hurt or something like that, then we really hurt the county because we didn't save anything at all. That's the only thing.
Are you
And
saying you'll do it for some cost, or you,
I would just do it.
oh,
I think you're right, Theresa, I think that's
Okay,
an
I'll wait,
issue.
I'll just wait on the second quote to come in and then go from there. That's fine.
Or would it be better to hire him as a contractor
Well, that's what I
for
thought we
some
were doing.
nominal amount?
Yeah.
well, not nominal, doesn't have to be nominal,
Well.
just, and these are services, so we're not required to get multiple bids and take the lowest bid or anything like that, so there's nothing to prevent you from hiring him to do it.
Yeah, I think if we paid you and you did it off of work hours, that would be,
A better way to do it?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, either way, I hope you don't get hurt, but if you did get hurt.
You're on your own, pal.
Well,
Well, you get her out there catching, Mike.
Sure can.
If you don't have somebody there catching you.
Yeah, buddy.
my thought is I've been out to the property enough and walked around it enough. I know where the stuff is not to hit. So I can do it and not hit anything and not be less apt to cause a problem than sending somebody else out there to do it. And it's not that much yard, really. So. Okay, I will get this handled, and you guys will all know on the up and up what is going on with the yard.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to anything else on Niedermeyer property. Okay, we'll move to Project Freedom, or the 600 East Connect.
I have no updates, and it looks like Brad had to step away, so. Oh,
There he
there he is.
Sorry, we're having some bridge issues this morning.
Oh, no.
I don't have any updates on my projects on there.
Okay. 100 South paving, nothing?
Not yet, no.
Schrader's?
I don't have anything, I don't think we've got any updates on any of the rest,
Okay.
as far as I know.
Rogers Market or Larwill or going out there looking at it?
I believe we are still supposed to go out to Rogers after this, correct? No?
Today.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's Carl. He can tell us.
Maybe.
Okay.
Morning.
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 Are you here for the Rogers folks?
I am, yeah.
Are you giving us a tour after our meeting?
We can, sure.
Okay. That answers our question.
Mhm.
Okay. Miscellaneous matters.
US 30, the Propel study is being released. The third phase, which is the big important piece that actually looks at everything comprehensively, is slated to be released tomorrow morning. Also tomorrow morning, the governor is going to be at SDI doing some sort of big presentation about said report, or at least related to it, whether it's actually about Propel itself or whether it's about SDI and US 30 getting to SDI. Not exactly sure, but probably a little bit of both, is my guess. So that'll be 10:30 tomorrow morning. You guys probably, if you haven't been invited, you probably wouldn't be turned away if you showed up. So that's news. Their public comment period, 30-day period, starts then tomorrow. There is a public workshop at Indian Springs on the 19th from 5 to 7 on Propel as well. So if you guys can make it there and provide comment directly, they'll have a presentation at 5:30, and that'll be NDOT and the consultants both.
That's it. 5:30 you said?
5:30 is the presentation, 5 to 7 is the open house at Indian Springs, Carver Center. So, early rumblings is that Propel study, at least for our portion, lines up very closely with what we've been promoting for the last umpteen years. But the differences would be more specifically timing, exactly what intersections would be looked at, and exactly what the improvements would be. But we're expecting the recommendation to be improve it to interstate level. But 24 hours, we'll find out for sure.
I apologize, I have to get to a department head meeting.
Anything else on miscellaneous matters?
What was the date on that?
The open house
Yeah.
is the 19th.
19th, yeah.
Next, so a week from today.
Thank you.
And I will make a note to just email out the report if it's, or at least a link to everyone so you have it conveniently as well.
Okay, we'll move on to claims.
Just two.
First claim is Column Software PBC for publication of a notice. The amount is $21.07, and that was for publication in the Post and Mail. The second claim is also for Column Software PBC for the same date, same notice, 2150, and that was for publication in the Cherubusco News.
Those are for the rezoning public hearing notices.
I have a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? There being none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, say. Vote show. Passed.
I'll have minutes for you next meeting.
I was gonna say, I didn't see any
Yeah, I didn't get them out.
previous meeting minutes.
They were with the agenda.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, anybody in the audience have anything?
Carl, do you have anything from the Rogers folks?
Yeah, I apologize.
Oh, no,
They told me
no,
that
it's
was supposed to
okay.
be 9 o'clock, so.
Come on up.
Yeah, sure. Carl Behrens, at B&D Commercial Real Estate. I'm handling the Rogers spec building. I'm also a Columbia City native. So we've been marketing the property for several months. When the building was first built, pretty good activity, kind of like a new house. Pretty good interest in the beginning. We didn't hit on any of those, so now we're kind of in the normal marketing period. But so we've had a few local manufacturers look at the property, where we gave them a different lease option, expandability options, buy options. We had a tour on Thursday of a company looking at locating kind of a distribution center in northeast Indiana. So that would be a company that would just occupy the 30,000 square foot building. We've had a couple others that have had us look at expanding the building. So one was up to a couple 100,000 square feet, and a couple others have been up to 100,000 square feet. So we've had reasonably good activity. We just haven't hit on the right one yet. But we have gone down the path of getting pricing for expansion and different build out. I would say that the market slowed down kind of pre-election, in industrial manufacturing as a whole, and it kind of picked up a couple weeks ago. So it's picking back up, obviously. We expect that to kind of continue here in the next period of time. But we've had people interested in leasing, buying some of the land around it. We've had all kinds of interest, but there's one company that has looked at expanding the building that has everything. We put together a nice package for them. They have everything at corporate right now. They've had that maybe for 3 months, and last week they said it's still being evaluated by corporate. So that'd be kind of a large. That was one of the larger ones where maybe it would go to add another 100,000 square feet to the building.
Do you think the tri-metals, I think that's the name, right next to it, you think that hurts it a little bit?
Not specifically. I mean, it's just, there's not a lot of buildings available. Obviously, there's not hardly any buildings in Willow County available, but it's people want something that's new and nice. That's our market. Sailrite looked at it. I mean, they were obviously likely potential. They ended up buying the old, Impact building on Short Street instead. I mean, they went down the entire process, looked at both buildings, evaluated it carefully, but that was one in the early stages that again, we went to go down both paths with them, and they ended up buying an existing building, so something that occurs. We've had interest from the suppliers of the Samsung battery plant in Kokomo. That opening date's been delayed a year, but there's still possibility of a supplier, second tier, not the first tier. First tier is pretty much located already, but second tier supplier, so, that's a possibility as well.
Any other questions? Well, thank you
You're
for
welcome.
giving us an update. Anybody else? Jill?
Just kind of an FYI, I think there's gonna be more pressure on the state legislature to ask RDCs or to require RDCs to have a 15% pass-through. So that's just maybe something to think about on down the road. I think there's pressure to try and get RDCs to not take all of the increment that they've been taking. So I know some RDCs already do that. They just build right in at 5%, 10%, whatever, so that the local entities still retain some of that money. But, and who knows what's gonna happen at the legislature, but I just thought I'd give you a heads up that there are people working for that.
Okay. Steve, you have anything? Sure. Andy?
Nope.
Mike?
No, sir.
John?
Nope.
Frank? No, sir. Brent? Nathan? I have none, so we're adjourned. Thank you.